Okay, so what we're gonna do is I'm gonna start to try to texture this face. And did I already just turn that on? I guess I did. Um, what I want to do first is I'm going to even out some of the textures. So I'm going to try to do some color balancing here because there's some bright areas and some dark areas, and I'm going to go in. I normally kind of ignore this and just do this really fast in demos and stuff, but really I should come in here and get shadows and highlights, put in my little magic formula, okay, and whoop, there. And if we take a look at that, okay, everything's a bit more even, bright. It's kind of easy to see things. I should spend some time and get rid of some more of these darker shadows and things like that, but I'm going to skip over that for now. Okay, and I can save that, and now I can bring them all in. I've done a bunch of images, and I can load them into my image manager. Got them all here, ready to go. And let's see, I've got a nice channel. It's a 4K texture. Okay. Oh, you bastard, I hate this. Auto docking is the bane of my existence. Okay, there used to be a way to turn this off, I swear. Okay, and also I'm just going to go here to layers. So we got this base layer here. I'm going to make a fresh layer. Okay, or actually even before I make the fresh layer, I'm just going to go to the base, and if I right click, I notice I do this thing where if I go to basic color, I can put in an obnoxious color that I like so I can see what I'm doing really, really well. So, well, maybe it's too green, but very green. Okay, easy to spot when I'm missing stuff. Okay, anything else I want to do on here? No, we're just going to switch off that layer, and I'll get rid of this. Okay, one other thing I want to do is when I'm in painting here, in my projections, I typically like to do the side first. Okay, so I can zoom in and do whatever. And also in my paint buffer, I like to put my buffer size up to 4K. Okay, so it's just bigger and I get a higher quality texture. Just depends what you're doing. That's what I want to do. Anything else? And we're painting through. Oh, I'm on projection front. Now there's a little button down here in the lower corner that you can actually use for this. But let's just show what it does. Image manager, and I'm going to find myself a nice side shot. Okay, and remember, if you've been playing around with this, you can reset the image. And you can see I've squished up this head and stylized it quite a bit, so it's not going to fit exactly. And what do I do? Something like that. I'll call that good. And also, yeah, I'll call this good here. And I can paint. Now, when I'm painting, why did it just all flick around? Okay, you bastard. Get rid of that. Okay. See, it's pretty easy to see if I'm missing anything. I've got a velvet brush on, by the way. Yeah, I went over into the shelf and I picked out the velvet brush. I kind of like it. Okay, and I think I'm going to call this good. I typically notice that I like to do the big broad strokes like this, and actually maybe I'll even get the back of the hair here. I don't think anyone's going to notice this, but whatever. And I'll do the neck separately as well, just because it's so crazy. And yeah, you can see that I've got paint through on, so now you can see over in the over in this other side here that it's going through the other side. And yeah, that was painting. Projection front. Why is that? Okay, I'm not sure why that's working right now, but it is. Let's see if I can move this over. Come on. Okay, whatever. Yeah, the interface keeps drifting off. I'm not sure why. Next thing I'm going to do is let's go and switch to the warp tool over here. And I can grab this area, and with warp you can do some kind of broad changes. Okay, and I'm just concentrating on big side places, you know, like big flat areas on the side. So that should work out pretty good. The nose, I'm not really concerned about at this stage. Okay, and also the 3/4 shot's going to do a lot of work for me. And let's see, does this do anything? I'll do the ear as a separate run in a second here. Okay, and I'm just going to hit B and bake it. Hopefully this doesn't take too long. I notice that my system slows down when I'm recording and I'm doing 4K textures. Oh, this is so painful. Come on. There we go. Okay, and maybe I'll do a little bit of ear action. And so I'll move this in here. Maybe I'll rotate it a little bit. And maybe I should make a separate layer for this. So let's go make a fresh one. Make a fresh one. There, and we'll project this ear in here. And it's hard to say what I'm doing here, so I could go and hide the other one while I'm doing this. Okay. And I'll call that good. And then I'll go over get myself the lattice, yes, keep using lattice. Or grid, whatever you want to call it. And remember that you can hit the little plus and minus over here, and that'll give you more grid points. I think I'm good with that. I'm going to hit enter. Oh, not enter. B for bake. God, it's going so slow. Okay, so it's done it. And I'm just going to do a little quick check here. If I bring in my other layer and I want to see how they're blending, if I hit F1, that takes me to flat shaded mode right here. Flat. Basic is F2, and F3 is with shade or with a specular hit to it as well. So we've got some good things going on here. Okay. And now I'm going to go back to the paint through brush and let's go to the front. Okay, looks very nice. Oh, and I just realized something. That's why I was getting on. I had the freaking mirroring on. Instead of paint through, I had mirroring on because I was playing around with this before I started doing this. Okay, so how about this front one here? Layers. Let's go ahead and create another layer. Okay, and I'm going to go into the image manager and I'll get that front view. Okay. And I'm just trying to figure out where the eyeballs are. So the eyes are here. Okay, and I can see that the lips aren't quite matching, so let's do this. Okay, I'm going to use a bit of slurp brush action. And do I have to rotator this? There. Okay, and something else, if you're moving the camera around a little bit, this thing, if you want to follow around, there's a pan lock and a pan scale. So if I zoom in, okay, my texture remains roughly the same size. And so when I'm projecting, I can get a better quality image by zooming in a bit closer because my paint buffer will be larger. But let's get rid of this. Let's get rid of this. And I'm going to start to paint. La 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 la. I'm just going to make my brush bigger. Make this go faster. And here I'm going to go into my layers one more time, and I'm just going to hide those layers underneath. Just so I can see if anything's creeping through here. Or I'm missing anything. Okay, and... Okay, great. And I'm going to hit... Oh, before I bake it, I'm going to go over here and I'm going to grab my slurp brush. And I suspect... let's make this bigger. Boop, boop, boop. And remember, when you're using slurp, you just want to nudge. Just do little nudges. And I should have taken the eyelashes out of the original photographs, but whatever, that's not what I did. Okay, we'll come back here for those eyelashes soon. Okay. And I'll get that nails. Here, I'm just going to make it smaller. And I'll, like I said, I think I said this earlier, is I'm probably going to end up coming back and doing the nose individually, doing its own little couple of layers and things like that. Okay. Okay, and I'm going to call that good, and I'm going to bake it. Oh! Damn it! I just baked it. Can I hit escape? Of course not. I just realized I got paint through on, and you can kind of see it back here. It's painting onto the back of the skull. Let's close this, and that gives me a good excuse to show you more things. I could undo the bake and get rid of that and turn off painting, bake through, projection through, front. I don't want on the front. Okay, but here it's baked down, so if I want to, if I go to the paintbrush and I switch the paintbrush to clear, okay, and I'll just show you what's happened back here. That looks pretty nice. Why don't you keep it like that? And I can get rid of these things like the ears and the mouth. Okay, and what are these? These are the eye sockets here. And maybe I'll come back and I'll paint those afterwards. And that's up the nose, those little tiny ones just below this. And if I just hit, you can't really see it happening yet. I could also mask this out too. But, okay. Come on, come on, faster, faster. There we go, and I'll call this good. Oh, that's the front view. No one's going to notice that crap. A little bit of stretching along here. Okay, and hit B and bake it. Where are those lips coming from? Oh, that's on another piece. Yeah, it's on another Udem. Beep. Okay, and we're gonna call that good enough. But we can definitely see any problems we got here. I can do the lips separately and things like that. What else do you need to see? Okay, one more thing I want to show here. Well, a couple more things I want to show. Let's do the 3/4 shot. I'm just going to take my layer and I'm going to hide the one I'm working on and I'll make a fresh one. Okay, and with my fresh one, this time we're going to do the 3/4 shot and I'm going to turn on mirroring. There's mirror projecting X. And you can get a lot of action out of this 3/4 shot. And I should be labeling all these things, but again, I'm trying to go fast. Boop, here, and that's pretty good. And I'm going to rotate this head over a little bit so it fits a little bit better. And we'll say something like that looks decent. And if I go in here and I brush that in, I've got that freaking clear brush on again. I got to switch to normal. Okay, great. And we got mirroring on. Come on, come on, come on. Okay, and so... And again, you can see with a 3/4 shot, you can actually do a lot with a 3/4 shot. I probably almost don't need anything else, right? Like I could totally nail most of this with a 3/4 shot. And back in the days when I worked in video games, this is what I would do to go really fast. Because there's a lot of flat areas on the 3/4 shot. Flat nose, cheek. Sometimes the eye would suffer. I think the eye is the only area you'd really have to go over, and mouth. And then I'm going to go over here and get my super slurp brush, and I can come in and stretch some of these things around. Actually, I'm going to close this so you can kind of see this in action as I'm moving these things. And let's make my... Oh, before I do... Always go for the broad sweeps first. Make this smaller. That corner of the nose, and there's a big ear coming in over here. Uh-oh, I hit B. Smoking crack. I'll just call that good enough. And I can start to erase things and blend these layers together. Come on, come on, come on. But that's a pretty decent start to this, and because I went and I color corrected them all, they should blend better. I'll still have some issues here and there, as I'm sure. That's gonna happen. Okay, so I've done all those things, and then if I go back to layers here, something extra special I kind of like to do is sometimes when I'm painting here, like, you know, switching between F1, 2, and 3, it's kind of nice to see all these shaded modes. It's also kind of nice to see a little bit of AO, and you could bake it into your texture if you wanted to, if you're doing something a little bit more on the gamey side. So if I go up here, and I forget all these icons, what I typically do is I just right-click, add procedural, geometry, ambient occlusion. And when you put the ambient occlusion in, you have to remember that you have to go up to objects and also turn it on here. Okay, it has to be enabled here as well. So you have to do kind of two places, which I don't know. It confused me at first. Now, the next thing is to be able to control this ambient occlusion. There's no real controls down here, so you gotta go, and then above it, you're gonna put in a procedural. I like levels. You can do whatever you want with that. You can. By the way, there's also, you know, you can go in here and when you're doing adjustment layers, you can hit invert. So I can make it, instead of like, you know, switching the black and white around, I could invert it, and yeah, interesting. But with the levels, then I have controls down here, and so I can bring down my whites, and I could crunch these things a little bit, and then I could change where the gray, middle gray is. Okay, and I can see some of the sculpting action that I've got going on here. Mid-tone, absolute, relative. Uh-oh. Anyway, and also, so you can change black and white values out here, blah, 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 blah. Now, currently, these two are sitting on top of each other here. And they're covering over my other textures that I have going on. I can't see a thing. But if I put these into a group, there, now I can take the group and I can just play with it like I would with Photoshop, and I can maybe change this to darken multiply. And there, so, and I can also control the intensity of that and bring it forward and back. And that's it. I think I'm going to stop this video here. And I got to do some blending while you guys aren't looking.